Welcome everyone to the World Energy Healing Session for March 19th, 2024 at 11:06 p.m. Eastern Time. That's New York time. We're going to be in spring in the Northern Hemisphere and fall in the Southern Hemisphere. So what we thought we'd do is help whatever growth patterns or support growth patterns that need to occur for those of us in the Northern Hemisphere. Now, there would be a similar sort of pattern in the Southern Hemisphere where fall is coming in, but it's harvest time. So we thought of increasing the harvest or increasing what we save from the harvest. Now, those are metaphors. Not all of us are farmers. Most of us are not when it comes to city living and being on the computer and watching YouTube. So let's think about our abilities, let's say, to evolve those things with which we have started. This is Southern Hemisphere, by the way. Evolve those things we started. Now, if you're a farmer, great. We want that field to be productive. So we're actually working with the planet today as well. So allowing that field, whether it's your cattle or your chickens, to be productive and to harvest for you and to bring you a good yield. Okay, so that's beautiful. But then when it comes to our personal view, what about, a better yield of all the work you've done so far, spring, summer, going into fall, and then you're going to go into dormancy or hibernation of winter. We want to see that whole thing start working for you. So we're going to work through money, we're going to work through family, and we're going to work through family. I think I'll work through all of relationships. So money, relationship, and obviously the big one we like to do here is health. But family and relationships, money, all those things are in abundance. So it helps support our health, and being healthy supports those things as well. So we're going to run an interconnection through that, just balancing all those things out. So you could tap that in. And even though I'm not in the Southern Hemisphere, I'm in the Northern Hemisphere, I'm tapping it out anyway, because that's what's going to happen, let's say, the next cycle. Now, for us in the Northern Hemisphere, where we're just coming out of dormancy, we want that chi flow to increase. We want blood flow to increase. We want movement to increase. We want areas in our body that need nutrients to be able to get those nutrients. We want that creativity to start moving out. What is it I'd like to do this spring? What needs to evolve? Doesn't matter what age. Younger people might want to think about the entire future, then, middle, let's say 30 to 50 to 60, that age group, they're evolving different projects, let's say, in their work or in their lives. And then there are people like me over 60. We're still working. We're not going to retire. Most of us are not going to retire. It's not necessary. We have a long life ahead of us. So retirement, I was listening to someone talking about retirement. They created the retirement age of 65 when life expectancy was 68. So it's like, yeah, that's all. Like, what's the point of that? Now we need to move retirement to a lot later. We don't need to retire early because we're going to have a lot of time. Sure, you could go and live the things that you didn't live or that you want to live. That's fine, as long as you have that. But most of us don't. If we end our work life, then what do we have elsewhere? So for a lot of us, let's evolve something. Maybe this spring, if you need something to do, evolve a commitment to that growth. Now, by the way, so spring is at 11:06 p.m. Eastern New York time this evening. As well as fall in the Southern Hemisphere. But we've also got the waxing gibbous moon. And the waxing gibbous moon is for increase. So obviously in the the southern hemisphere, we can increase, the harvest or how we're going to store things for the winter. And in the northern hemisphere, we want to increase all these things like energy, especially over the next week, because the 25th, which is Monday, is the full moon, and then we're going to start the waning moon. And once the waning moon comes in, we can release. So let's say this week we get an increase in energy, blood flow, right? Toxin production, because there's going to be more movement coming in. Then next week, we could go along with the moon as well. So while part of our energy is increasing, there's more evolution going on. We can dump the stuff that we don't need anymore, because sometimes we can, start a new project, but we have old ideas and old ways of doing it. Quite frankly, this is my favorite part that's coming up right now in this session is, my head and my body mind can think of things and go, yeah, but I don't want those yeah buts. I want my body mind to have a completely fresh look at what is possible to create. I want that sort of birthing process of energy coming from the second chakra, along with creativity, to rise up. And, a lot of people can call that passion. I don't know if I want to call it passion, but I want to call it creativity, so that things are happening in a different way. So that means we need to release a lot of active memory around fear. So for you, whoever you are, you're just going to, tune in to those memories that involve fear. All right, so let's just start moving all of this. We got the first burp. And what that's doing is just helping us to clear things out. So we want an increase with this will tune us into the moon's phase, an increase in our capacities, but increasing what we need to let go of. I like that. It's a little bit of a tongue twister there, but if this waxing moon can really build up the stuff that I need to let go of, and then next week help me support me and you, of course, just think about me as yourself, and yeah, let that go. Now there's a little bit of nausea coming up there, so maybe there are toxins from the winter sitting around. Maybe we don't move as much, we're not outside as much, we don't have as much vitamin D, this northern hemisphere, and we're going to increase that. Southern hemisphere obviously will get probably a lot more sun and a lot more vitamin D than we were getting in the northern hemisphere. And that's not everywhere, of course, right? So just let's tap that through. I started with the belly, just feeling this nausea. I want to tune into what's going on now. So it looks like this nausea is the small intestine, actually not the small intestine, it's the enteric plexus of the small intestine, where the confusion that occurs within us of what we need to do next. What is the next step? It gets jumbled up by putting too many things into the small intestine, confusing it, and we aren't able to take appropriate action. So we want to clear that up with the spring and the waxing to the 25th. So next week, maybe we'll do a little bit more on this. Release of the waning moon. So it's like really building it up to the waning moon. So it's kind of like hair. This is the week I trim my hair. So just before the full moon, and I trim it so it'll grow more, but I try to trim it quite near to the full moon, not just on the waxing moon, so that there'll also be a release when the full moon becomes waning, when it starts to let go. So it releases toxins or whatever is in our hair, because we can get a ton of stuff in our hair that's coming from the body. Even our consciousness can be in our hair. People say, oh, my hair picks up things from around us. Yeah, sure it does. But don't forget, it's also, taking out whatever you've got as thought patterns that need to be dead but maybe they're not. Maybe the body's going, let's get rid of this, but we just go, no, 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 let's not, because we're defensive, or we make excuses. Something's coming up now I didn't expect to come up. So when we're trying to take an action, we're trying to do something in our lives, we can over inundate ourselves. I think that's clear. I've said that this is where people say they're overwhelmed. I'm overwhelmed by what I have to do. No, you're actually not overwhelmed by what you have to do. You're never overwhelmed by what you have to do. It's not possible. I don't think we could have a long discussion about it, but let's work it this way. You cannot be overwhelmed by what you have to do. You are overwhelmed by what you think you have to do. It's your thinking that overwhelms the system. Okay, maybe we could be overwhelmed by a surge of emotion. Sure, that's possible, but usually I would say overwhelm is in the mind. So if it's in the mind, then it's usually thinking about it. Though I'm always trying to consider, like, if I have this strong grief and I'm really sad, I could probably say I'm overwhelmed with emotion and my body's physically doing things. And maybe there would be no thoughts. It's just, someone's died and now I've got, this massive emotion. But I would say when it comes to things we have to do, projects, our activity, it's usually the mind. And if you stop, you slow down and just say stop, because you don't actually have to do anything, even though you think you do. And if you think you need to do more than one thing in a given moment, you're completely mistaken. It's your mind telling you you have to do these things. So there's a gal and I are going to put on some classes and courses. Can I say your name, since you know? Yeah. So Monica Marzak and I will be doing a series of classes. We haven't arranged what we're going to do, but I think we're going to deal with this type of thing. So when it comes to money, when it comes to a relationship, when it comes to all the different things that we have in our life, we're going to implement different techniques that could help us cease and desist from having this kind of energy, or having this kind of pushy mental activity. So yeah, we'll just give a little bit of an energy session to that kind of work. And I'm just bringing in, I'm not going to tell you what the work is. You'll have to take the course, but I am going to bring it through this session, what we're going to do. I'm not going to describe it to you, but I'm just going to allow that energy. And the girl is, the woman, I should say, is on here right now with me. And she's smiling, which is really nice to see. So we're just going to kind of hold this energy where we're able to have this abundance that this whole session brought up, abundance of health, abundance of relationships. We need relationships. We need them in our lives. Now, there's always that rare person who can be by themselves. Fine, there's always exceptions. But most of us need people in our lives. And we want to be able to support that connection, even if it's this new phenomenon out there of women living alone. There are a lot of women who live alone. And it's nice if we can help that connection, just so they're connected to their neighborhood, so that there's this nice energetic connection to, the person you go buy a cup of coffee from, or, I was thinking, I was talking to someone yesterday, and, we were discussing neighborhoods. And, in my neighborhood, I can go outside and say, good morning. Actually, it's a little bit like if you go out and your hair is all over the place and you haven't brushed your teeth, you better run, because you'll run into someone and they'll say good morning and how are you, and you'll have to stop and have a conversation, which is fine. But if you've gone out to take out the garbage and you got curlers in your hair, as they say, not so much fun. So, our neighborhood's really nice. You go to the local store and they're friendly. They say good morning. These are nice things in our community, local community. That I think we could say in many areas of the world, especially the bigger the city is dying culturally. And maybe it would be nice if we have that abundance of not allowing this to die culturally, that we can have this continuing to evolve, because we're the ones in control, let's say, of culture, meaning it's up to me to say good morning to my neighbor. It's up to me to have a friendship with my local, it's up to me to say thank you very much and have a good day. It's not up to someone else to tell me that. And maybe, that appreciation or enjoyment of having that pleasant conversation can be brought back again. I don't see why not. It's in our DNA. So we could do that, especially for like even small neighborhoods. There are small neighborhoods. I can go around different areas of the city and see how the areas operate, and different areas have a different energy, a different dynamic. And so what's that about? Like what happened there? Did, a couple of people decide to, you know, not say good morning and that's not done and then it spreads? Uh, I've always, always believed in the metaphysical, and it's up to me to change my life and what's going on around me. It's up to me. That doesn't mean everyone's going to change, but I'm going to be influencing it. Then, hearing Jordan Peterson online talk about, if you want your neighborhood to change, then, you're the one who needs to go clean your garden. You're the one who needs to stop. And one of the things he always says is, I think it's one of his rules for life. Never stop a boy on a skateboard. Always pet a cat when you go by it. That's something I can't do because I'm allergic to them, but I think about it. But always, there are things that we can do that we stop doing, right? Boys on skateboards, people are always stopping them. And it's like, what are you talking about? Not always. I'm being hyperbolic, but we don't stop that. We want those boys to be playing, to be running around. I mean, the sound of kids playing, I had missed it in all the years living in the city in an apartment building. Now I live in a house, and I hear all the kids out back. It was really sad. There was a woman with 3 kids, and she moved. And I was like, oh, now we lost all the sounds of those kids every morning, crying and laughing and playing and fighting. And, I would just sit and smile while I'd hear that. And then finally, the new gals who live there, they're on their third, I think the third or fourth child. So there's 2 houses, and they're reproducing, which is great to see those kids coming out, and we can hear them laughing again and all of that. So these are wonderful things that I think we forget about, especially during COVID, post-COVID. Young people, we need to have a lot of patience and affection for young people who lost some of these experiences in the last years. I mean, first we were worried about kids who were just being raised in the city in big apartment buildings. Now it's even doubled. So with this spring, let's create this beautiful abundance, even if it's with one other person, even that one other person that you smile at, we can create it. And don't get disillusioned if somebody doesn't smile back. It's okay. They might not be ready for it, or it's just one by one. It's within you. Allow that smile to come up within you. So all I'm doing is, if you like that, I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just saying this is what's coming up. And if you like that, you enjoy that, then tap this in. So it'll help that vibration of a nice sunny smile and greeting and connection and abundance to come for you. And then we have a financial one. We're going to link it up to spring, to the waxing moon, and to being really practical about finances. Practicality is in your small intestine. This is where you start thinking, hey, what do I need to do? Where, maybe I should save some money over here. Maybe I should invest over there, even if it's 10 cents. I don't care. It doesn't really matter. I started with 10 cents. That's how I started. And, over the years, all of a sudden you have a little bit more and a little bit more. As long as you're taking care of yourself and you're being practical and making sure. And if you don't know how to do it, then, get other people to help you do that. Especially, while you're thinking about abundance, think about um, the gratitude to those people who do have. That's another aspect I think is really important. Where does gratitude come from? That's always a tough one. Every time I'm doing a session, I'm like, where's the gratitude come from? Where is that coming from? Maybe it's from the heart. I don't know. But it's something, I think I've said this before, gratitude doesn't just exist, it must be cultivated. So if you don't have that gratitude for everything going on, because there are going to be a lot of people that are jealous, right? If you have something but somebody else has more, or it could be better to talk about yourself. You could look at someone else and go, wow, they have 5 cars. So wow, they have a husband. Oh wow, they chose a really good job. Oh wow. Oh wow. Yeah, okay, that's fine. But we have to come back to the phrase, I made my choice. Yeah, there's certain circumstances where people don't have a choice, but we always do. We don't have control over our choices. No, ultimately, but we do have choice. And every day we can wake up and decide which choice we're going to make our lives better. So you can make a choice that, let's say, is jealousy or resentments, like especially resenting my past, right? You could resent, oh, I wish I hadn't done that, or I wish so and so hadn't done that to me. That kind of stuff just makes life worse. So, what we need to do is really sit and go, all right, what am I cultivating this spring? And for those in fall, what am I harvesting? And what do I need to get rid of? And what do I need to keep? That's up to you, right? That's something you could sit and play with. And maybe you'll join us in the work that we're developing. We haven't finished it yet, but we'll keep you posted on what we're doing. And maybe we'll, you know, find something really cool to bring forth for all of you. We will. It is cool. All right. Love you all. Have a great week and see you next week. Bye.